Let me just put this up here. If you can't see,